For decades, studio moguls fed us a fascinating lie that the screen's greatest titans despised each other. But what if those fierce feuds were just a glamorous smokescreen to hide Hollywood's most passionate, forbidden romances? Today, we're stripping away the manufactured publicity to reveal the heartbreaking secret love affairs of your favorite silver screen icons. If you love uncovering the true history behind the Golden Age, subscribe now and journey back to Tinseltown's best-kept secrets with us. The legendary feud of Bette Davis and Joan Crawford. For those of us who remember the Golden Age of Hollywood, no rivalry burns brighter in memory than the fierce clash between Bette Davis and Joan Crawford. For decades, these two cinematic titans battled for top-billing Oscar glory and studio supremacy. Recognizing a goldmine, studio moguls and gossip columnists happily fanned the flames to orchestrate a publicity masterclass that sold millions of theater tickets. Yet behind the heavily publicized malice, Tinseltown insiders whispered of a far more complex reality. Rumors persisted that back in the 1930s, before the bitterness took root, there was a brief, intense mutual attraction between them. But when that spark fizzled, the unrequited fascination curdled into lifelong resentment. This toxic chemistry exploded on screen in the 1962 psychological thriller Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, where their real-life animosity made for chilling, unforgettable cinema. Even time could not heal their wounds. When Crawford passed away in 1977, Davis delivered a final devastating blow that cemented their feud in pop culture history. True to her sharp-tongued nature, she famously remarked, "You should never say bad things about the dead, only good. Joan Crawford is dead. Good." Decades later, their relationship remains the ultimate Hollywood tragedy, a story of two extraordinary women defined as much by their mutual hatred as by their undeniable genius. The enduring secret, Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn. For generations of moviegoers, Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn represented the gold standard of on-screen chemistry. Yet behind the silver screen lay Hollywood's longest-running and most fiercely guarded secret. When they first crossed paths at MGM, Tracy was the studio's dependable powerhouse leading man, while Hepburn was fighting the damaging box office poison label. What began as a professional pairing ignited a deeply complex 26-year love affair that lasted until Tracy's passing in 1967. The true conflict of their legendary romance wasn't Hollywood rivalry, but a quiet, agonizing domestic battle. Tracy, bound by his strict Catholic faith and public image as a devoted family man, refused to ever divorce his wife, Louise. Hepburn, fiercely independent yet deeply devoted, willingly accepted the shadows protecting Tracy's reputation at the expense of her own. The real competition played out not in the tabloids but in Spencer's heart. For over 2 decades, Hepburn quietly competed with Louise Tracy for his ultimate commitment, a battle she knew she could never truly win. Out of profound respect for the family and the unspoken rules of a bygone era, Hepburn kept her silence for years. Only after Louise passed away in 1983 did Hepburn finally share the bittersweet truth of her lifetime devotion with the world. Shadows and Mirrors, Marlon Brando and James Dean. To the public during the mid-20th century, Marlon Brando and James Dean were the twin titans of a cinematic revolution, fiercely competing for the crown of Hollywood's ultimate brooding rebel. They defined the brooding, raw, masculine energy of post-war American cinema. Yet behind the carefully constructed studio publicity of a bitter rivalry, Tinseltown insiders whispered of a far more intimate, complex reality. Long before Jimmy Dean became a household name, the two shared a quiet, intense connection in the early 1950s. Brando, who later candidly admitted to experimenting with men, became a monumental figure in Dean's life, whose own fluid sexuality remained an open secret in progressive Hollywood circles. But as Dean's stardom skyrocketed, the dynamic shifted from intimacy to a frustrating psychological game. On the studio lots, Dean began shadowing his idol, meticulously mimicking Brando's iconic mumbled method acting style and eccentric off-screen mannerisms. Feeling choked by the imitation, a resentful Brando famously dismissed the young star as a mere talented copycat. Those sharp, stinging words effectively shattered their private bond and inadvertently fueled the explosive narrative of a lifelong hatred. Decades later, their relationship remains a haunting tale of a mentor and a disciple forever locked in each other's shadows. The Malibu Secret, Cary Grant and Randolph Scott. During the Golden Age, Cary Grant and Randolph Scott were the epitome of Hollywood's most dashing eligible bachelors. Yet beneath the glossy studio publicity lay Tinseltown's worst-kept secret. From 1932 to 1944, the two shared a beautiful Malibu beach house playfully dubbed Bachelor Hall by insiders. Fan magazines routinely published photographs of them wearing matching outfits, cooking and relaxing poolside domestic scenes that heavily mirrored a married couple. To distract the public, nervous studio executives manufactured a narrative of fierce rivalry, positioning them as competitors for the exact same leading man roles. Despite the forced competition, their quiet domestic partnership endured for 12 years. It only dissolved when Grant married Woolworth heiress Barbara Hutton, though their profound emotional bond never truly faded. Their connection quieted but remained lifelong. Decades later, a final poignant gesture cemented their unspoken history. When Scott passed away in 1987, it was revealed that he had left a significant portion of his estate to Grant's only child, Jennifer. To an older generation who understood the strict codes of that bygone era, it was a beautiful, silent testament to a love that dared not speak its name. The rumor that shocked America: Rock Hudson and Jim Nabors. For mid-century television audiences, Rock Hudson and Jim Nabors seemed to inhabit entirely different dimensions of stardom. Hudson was Hollywood's ultimate romantic matinee idol, the very epitome of rugged heterosexual American masculinity. Nabors, conversely, was the lovable, bumbling country bumpkin we all adored as Gomer Pyle. They were such an unimaginable mismatch that when a persistent nationwide rumor swept the country in the early 1970s, claiming the two had secretly married, most Americans dismissed it as an absurd joke. Yet beneath the laughter lay a harsh reality. In that unforgiving era, the viral rumor was weaponized, threatening to instantly shatter both of their thriving careers. To protect his valuable box office status, Hudson had to vigorously maintain his manufactured leading man persona, while Nabors kept his personal life fiercely guarded. Sadly, the heavy toll of these societal pressures became undeniable when Hudson's tragic passing from AIDS complications in 1985 forced the public to finally confront the painful facades of old Hollywood. In truth, the marriage was completely fabricated, a mean-spirited prank by Hollywood insiders that spun wildly out of control. While close friends, they were never lovers. Nabors eventually found his true happiness publicly coming out in 2013 to marry Stan Cadwallader, his devoted partner of 38 years. Decades later, the Hudson-Nabors rumor remains a poignant, nostalgic reminder of the intense pressures and heartbreaking double lives forced upon the beloved stars of our youth. A bond beyond Hollywood, Elizabeth Taylor and Montgomery Clift. For those of us who watched the silver screen in the 1950s, the breathtaking pairing of Elizabeth Taylor and Montgomery Clift in A Place in the Sun remains unforgettable. They possessed an incandescent on-screen chemistry that studio moguls desperately tried to market as a real-life romance. Yet behind the frantic studio publicity machines lies the story of the most fiercely loyal, profound friendship in Hollywood history, one defined by a secret the world wasn't ready to accept. Monty Clift was a deeply tortured soul forced to conceal his homosexuality to preserve his status as a devastatingly handsome leading man. Recognizing his vulnerability, Liz became his ultimate protector, shielding him from a ruthless studio system and a judgmental public. Their bond was forged in blood. Following Monty's horrific 1956 car crash after a dinner party at her home, it was Liz who crawled into the wreckage, saving his life by pulling his shattered teeth from his throat to prevent him from choking. Though the accident forever altered his beautiful face and accelerated his tragic downward spiral, Liz never left his side. Taylor would famously go on to marry 8 times, captivating the world with her tumultuous love life. Yet until her final days, she openly declared that Montgomery Clift was the truest, most enduring love of her life. Decades later, their story stands not as a studio romance, but as a monument to unconditional devotion. The Continental rivals Marlene Dietrich and Greta Garbo. For those enchanted by the golden age of cinema, Marlene Dietrich and Greta Garbo represented the pinnacle of European mystique. As Hollywood's premier imports, they were perpetually cast by studio publicists as bitter rivals competing for the definitive title of the silver screen's ultimate femme fatale. Yet beneath the manufactured feuds, Tinseltown insiders knew these enigmatic icons shared a world far more interconnected than the public ever imagined. Their lives intersected most intimately away from the camera flashes. Instead of fighting over male leading men or coveted movie roles, their true competition took place within Hollywood's private elite circles. Most famously, both stars shared a passionate, overlapping romance with the avant-garde socialite Mercedes de Acosta. Navigating the underground bohemian circles of mid-century America, Dietrich and Garbo understood each other perfectly. Bound by a hidden landscape of fluid sexuality they were forced to keep in the shadows. Dietrich, always the more uninhibited of the two, later claimed that she and Garbo had actually shared an intimate romantic encounter of their own long before achieving global stardom. True to her legendary reclusive persona, Garbo chose to take her secrets to the grave, never confirming the affair. Decades later, their relationship remains the ultimate old Hollywood mystery, a mesmerizing tale of 2 extraordinary women whose private passions burned far brighter than any studio-concocted rivalry. A rebel's heartbreak, James Dean and Pier Angeli. For generations of moviegoers, the doomed romance between James Dean and Italian starlet Pier Angeli remains one of Hollywood's most heartbreaking legends. While the public swooned over their intense youthful love, few understood the bitter real-world rivalry surrounding it. Dean was utterly consumed by Angeli, but her strictly religious mother fiercely disapproved of the brooding rebel, ultimately orchestrating a match with the clean-cut traditional crooner Vic Damone. This clash of cultures and images culminated in a moment of pure Hollywood melodrama. On the day of Angeli and Damone's lavish 1954 wedding, a heartbroken Dean reportedly parked his motorcycle outside the church, revving the engine in a desperate, roaring protest. The tabloids eagerly framed the tragedy as an explosive battlefield between 2 completely opposite American archetypes, fighting for the heart of one beautiful woman. Dean never truly recovered from losing her, a sorrow that was cut short by his fatal car crash just a year later. Pier's life, too, was overshadowed by what might have been. Following years of personal turmoil when she tragically passed away in 1971, she was reportedly buried with a cherished token Dean had gifted her decades earlier. Decades later, their star-crossed affair endures as a poignant reminder of a fragile mid-century romance shattered by the heavy weight of societal expectations. Thank you for watching today's video. If you find the content interesting or useful, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the latest videos. Your support is the biggest motivation for us to continue creating better quality content every day. What do you think about today's topic? Leave a comment below so we can discuss it together. See you in the next video. Have a great day.